This book is basically trying to ask the question or address the question: how is Indianness or Indian civilization or Indian culture or Indian mental makeup different from the West? Not different in the sense of superior or inferior, but different just as different. It could be some areas of difference are better, some are worse. And the cover of the book is the Samudra Manthan, the opposite forces churning. So it symbolizes the fact that I've done a lot of churning with Westerners of various kinds, with Catholics, Protestants, secularists, atheists, scientists. And over the last few decades, I've been doing this churning in order to understand where this difference is centered. I've also done a lot of similar Samudra Manthan internally with Buddhist scholars and with Shaivites and with Sri Aurobindo scholars and Marxists and atheists and so on over the years. So as a result of that, I've come up with what I consider to be four differences that meet the criteria that among the diverse range of Indian systems, these four are fairly common positions, and yet they are very different from the way the Westerners see things. So the first of the four, I'm not putting them in the same sequence as the book. One difference that struck me was the attitude towards what Westerners call chaos. Westerners have a tendency to be very linear, very organized system of control. The whole thinking is like that. And what occurred to me is that, when I would conduct meetings, and there were some Indians and some Westerners, the Indians are always having many conversations. So A is talking to B, C is talking to D, and E is talking to A and B, and somebody is listening and interjecting here and there. And the Westerners are sort of not used to this. So they would sit quietly. And then after a while, when the meeting was over, the Indians would say they know what to do now, we figured it out. Because they had filtered out many parallel things happening, a lot of multitasking going on. But the Westerners would come and ask, what happened? We don't know what happened. It's all chaos, a lot of, So one has to do things in a more linear way for Westerners. And I found that a lot of Western writing describes this as a problem the Indians have. That unpredictability, they're ambiguous. Now the Indian would say this is a quality. Because, the Indian chef doesn't say that you take so many ounces and put it to so many degrees for so many minutes. He kind of does it by feel, And the Indian dancer improvises. The rag player never wants to perform the same way twice, even the same rag, he improvises. So this idea of complexity is inherent, very complex. Whereas in the West, that seems too bewildering to them. It overwhelms their cognitive capacity, the cognitive bandwidth. So they call it chaos. So a lot of descriptions of India and Indian civilization in the West seem to give that characteristic of chaos. So I thought that's an important difference that should be pointed out. Now, it's not always good to have such a lot of comfort with the disorder. It can also make people, get away with things by saying, oh, we are just chaos, So it can also lead to corruption maybe, because people think I'm improvising rules. I'm making my own rules, kind of. So I'm not saying that a comfort with disorder, chaos is necessarily positive or negative, but it's a point of difference. It ought to be recognized.